Hello, everyone, and welcome to our week one session of Photoshop. I am so excited that you all are joining me today because this is going to be probably the funnest class that you take at this school because this is Photoshop. This is the program that you're going to use most when you are all working as professional graphic designers. This is why you went to school, because you have a passion for design. And the projects and assignments that we have in this class are super fun. So you guys have a lot to look forward to. Let me start the video and stop sharing for a second. And you guys, I am super excited to meet you. So welcome to your first graphic design class, everyone. I know you probably had fun in your first couple of classes, but this is the class that you're going to have a lot of fun in. This is the class where you are using your passion. You guys decided to go to school for graphic design because you're passionate about art and you're passionate about design. And that is what this class is all about. We are going to start off week one with a class with a class assignment that is so fun and so easy. You're just going to make a little desktop wallpaper background with a variety of shapes, and it will take you honestly like 5 minutes to do. So super easy week one to start off with. Then we're going to do a coloring page for your assessment. So if you ever imagined that you'd be going to college and doing coloring just like you did in kindergarten, that's what we're doing. We're just going to do a coloring page, super easy. And then you do a little discussion where you participate with your classmates. Honestly, you guys, you'll probably get everything that you need to get done in this week one done in probably under an hour. So we'll move into week two having a really strong grade. And some of you are still installing Photoshop. Don't worry, I'm going to be taking you through step by step how to install Photoshop. So stay tuned for that. Now, some of you may have already opened up Photoshop, and maybe you've opened up your Mac computer for the first time. And maybe you're thinking, gosh, I've never used Photoshop before. I've never even used a Mac computer before. This all seems terribly complicated. This seems so hard. I'm scared. I probably am going to fail this class. No, just put those thoughts out of your head, you guys. You are going to love this class, okay? I have been teaching this particular class for a little over 10 years, and I've had tons of students, and I've had, and I'd probably have to say like 90% of the students who have taken this class have never used Photoshop before, have never used a Mac computer before. You know, maybe you have even limited computer experience in general. But I have a really high success rate with students passing this course. And I have to say, of my 10 years, like 99% of the students I've taught have ended up passing this class. So you will have no problem learning the information that you need to learn and passing this course. Again, even if you've never had computer or Photoshop experience before, because this class is designed for students who have never had any previous graphic design or computer experience, okay? So my point is, put those worries out of your head, okay? If you are having any doubts about your abilities or skills to succeed, put those out of your head, because you are going to do fine, and also you're going to have a lot of fun. And these assignments are going to be things that you're going to be really proud of and use in your professional portfolio when you start applying for jobs. So that's really cool. Let's talk about some important things. Someone's doggy is barking. So let's talk about some important things first. Oh, Carrie raised her hand. Carrie, did you have a question? I saw you posted you'd never received the email to download Adobe. Don't worry, many people haven't yet. And I'm going to talk about what to do with that. And you have an HP laptop, not a Mac. That's fine. I think the new students are having HP laptops, so yeah, that's totally fine if you have an HP. It's all the same. I'm going to give you shortcut keys when I'm doing the demonstration for how to do both PC and Mac shortcut keys. So those of you who are on a PC will have no problem. What was I thinking? Okay, so some important notes, you guys. Take notes as you are watching this class, because what I do is I take you step by step through how to do the assignment. And if you're just sitting back and watching this like a TV show, you're not going to remember all of the steps involved. And if you think that you can just, and the session is recorded, but if you think you can just rely on watching the recording over and over again, that's not an efficient way to learn. In fact, studies have shown what is the best way to learn and get the information to go in your brain. It's to watch the class session, have a piece of paper and a pencil next to you as you're watching, and then write down step 1, do this, step 2, do this, step 3 in list format. So don't transcribe what I'm saying. Don't transcribe every single thing I say. You should end up with like 1 page of notes at the end of this, not like 5, okay? So you write out step 1, click here, step 2, click here, step 3, click here. And then you write down any shortcut keys I mention. And especially I'll mention over and over again, this is really important, so you'll circle what I say is really important. Okay, and then you're going to, when you're done with this class session, you'll open up Photoshop on your own computer and you'll look at your notes and you just follow along with my notes. And then there might be a section where you get stuck and you're like, I did what my notes say, but it's not working. Then you go back and you watch the recording and you go, okay, actually I didn't write something down. So yeah, and you'll see what I did, and the way that you're doing it is slightly different, and it'll all work out. Then the thing is, there's also, this will happen, you'll be going along, you'll be doing everything, and sometimes you'll just get stuck with something. Sometimes you'll just be like, I am trying to do this thing and I'm doing it exactly the way she's doing it, but it's not working. And in those cases, what you do is you come to my multi-session. So my multi-sessions are on Tuesday and Thursday, and you come into the same classroom and you get one-on-one help from me. So on Tuesdays and Thursdays at the same exact time, you can come in and you can show me your work and say, this is my assignment, this is what I'm stuck on, or this is my assignment, am I going to get a good grade on this? Or this is my assignment, I'm stuck on it, can you show me what I'm doing wrong? And then I will be able to walk you step by step through how to fix whatever it is that you're having trouble with. Okay, so take notes with a piece of paper and a pen or a pencil as you're watching this class session. Do your assignment after this class session is over by referring to your notes. Please don't try to do the assignment while you're watching the class session at the same time, because that won't work for you and you won't remember what you need to do, and you won't learn. It's just not a good way to learn. Don't type up your notes on like Microsoft Word, because studies have shown that when you're typing your notes, it doesn't go in your brain. You have to actually physically handwrite your notes. And then really important, guys, Saturday midnight Mountain Time is the deadline to get your weekly assignments in. So your work is due Saturday midnight Mountain Time. It's a really tough deadline. So if there is, for whatever reason, something comes up in your life and you can't turn your work in by Saturday, midnight Mountain Time, email me before the deadline. If you wait until Sunday or Monday to email me, I'm going to be less likely to give you an extension. But if you email me Friday or Saturday morning, letting me know that your assignment is not going to be in, I will be more than happy to give you extra time to get your work done. Okay. So just communicate with me. Something that makes me really grumpy is when students just disappear and they don't communicate with me. And the thing is, you guys, this is an easy class. This should be the class that you automatically get an A in. And, you know, everything's going to get harder from here. So, like, this is your easy design class. And you should come out of this class with A's in the first week. You know, second week's a little harder, so maybe you might drop down to a B. Probably not, though, because I'll help you. You know, week 3 is super easy. You'll get an A. Week 4 is super easy. You'll get an A. So you will come out of this class with an A. And the only reason that you might not is if you just don't care and you just like check out and don't turn anything in and decide to be lazy. But you guys, none of you here are lazy. You're college students who are motivated and you're passionate about graphic design and you want to have an awesome career in design, and you know that I'm your teacher and I will bend over backwards to do whatever I can to help you get an A in this class, because I have a really, really high success rate with students passing this class, and I want to keep that high success rate. And also, I have a goal. Like, I want this class to be the 100% A class. Like, I want like every one of you to get an A in the class, so I can say 100% of my students in my class have an A, and I can feel good about that. But yeah, you guys just need to communicate with me. And if there's a reason that your work isn't going to be turned in on time, let me know, and I will be more than happy to give you an extension as needed. If you're stuck or struggling with anything, email me, come to my multi-session, send me a text message, let me know, because I am more than happy to do whatever I need to do to help you understand. And this is easy material, guys. like you should have no problem understanding it. But if you are stuck with something, that's what I'm here for. Come and let me help you understand and everything. So this is the topics that we're going to cover today, and we're going to talk about how to do your week 1 assignment. But first, let's talk about what you need to do to install Photoshop. Give me a smiley face in the chat if you already have Photoshop installed. So many of you are already rock stars and already have Photoshop installed. But I'm going to take you through the process of getting this installed. It's super, super easy. And again, this is a part where you're going to want to write this down, guys. So step 1, if you are writing notes, if you have not yet had Photoshop installed and you are writing notes to get Photoshop installed, this is what you'll write. You'll write step 1, go to the IU Graphic Arts community. Step 2, write this down in your notes, guys. You're going to go to the pre-learning assessment. And you're going to take the pre-learning assessment. And it's not something that's going to affect your grade or your life at all. You can do really, really poorly on this. And the fact is, you probably are going to do really poorly in this, because the whole purpose of this assessment is to show us how much you know and don't know prior to taking this course, or the whole program rather. And so when you graduate, you'll take the post-learning assessment, and we'll be able to compare the pre to the post to see how much you've learned. And so, yeah, take the pre-learning assessment and revel in how badly you do on it. That's fine. Then you're going to email Sean, letting him know that you took the pre-learning assessment and you are ready to receive your Adobe information. So you get Sean's info by going to the faculty office hours, and that is his email address, sean.childersgray@independence.edu. And so you're going to email Sean, letting him know that you took the pre-learning assessment. You're ready to receive your Adobe information. Now, if for whatever reason you don't hear back from Sean, you don't get your Adobe information, you follow up every 24 hours. Okay, because Sean's dealing with a lot of students. And sometimes, and this happens with me too, and this is a good tip for dealing with me, dealing with any faculty member at any school ever, because we get so many emails and text messages from students that sometimes they get lost in the shuffle. Like, I'm just responding, I'm responding, and then, but for whatever reason, maybe I accidentally deleted your email, maybe I didn't see it. And so, you see my inbox right now. So if you don't get an email from me, email me again in 24 hours saying like, hey, did you get my email? And I'll either reply, no, I didn't, or I'll reply, yes, I'm so sorry for the delay. But that's what you'll do with Sean. You will email him, letting him know that you took the pre-learning assessment. Then you're going to venture over to this link here that says Adobe. And you're going to follow the instructions here at this link for installing Adobe, okay? And so some of you are super new to a Mac. Some of you are super new to Adobe and everything. These two videos here will be really useful for you. So just go ahead and watch them. Give them a look. Okay, so that is the thing with Adobe. And here's the thing, guys. You need to have Adobe installed by Wednesday. It's a requirement. Wednesday of week 1. And I'm going to be following up with you all to make sure that it's installed. But if you say something like, Sean didn't email me back, I'm going to say, well, did you follow up in 24 hours? And then I want proof that you followed up in 24 hours because I want to see screenshots of the emails that you sent him. And I want to make sure that you guys are following up every 24 hours. So I want to see if you are telling me on Wednesday that you did not get Adobe installed, that Sean was not emailing you back. I want proof of that, okay? So I want to see you contacting him because also in the screenshot, I might see that you emailed the wrong address, or that you were really rude, and of course he's not going to respond if you were rude, or if you didn't put your name, so he had no idea who you were. So those are some reasons. Then something else that you can do, I doubt this will happen, but if you get stuck with the installation process, or you are not able to get a hold of Sean, which is unlikely, go to Sean's office hours, which are Thursday and Friday, at his Zoom room, which is that one there, that's 801-917 number. And he'll be there during those 4 hours a week, and you can show him what you're stuck on, show him what you're having trouble with, talk to him directly, and then you can get that all sorted out. So that is that. So remember, take notes, install Photoshop, turn your assignments in on time, come to my multi-session if you need help. And now let's dive into getting started on your first assignment and learning these new tools. So again, this first assignment is so easy. You guys are going to get it done in like 5 seconds. So I want to see everyone coming out of week 1 with a solid A. And hey, you know, even if a life issue comes up in week 1, like just get your assignment turned in on time. You know, and of course, I'm willing to work with anyone who, you know, has emergency situations come up or anything like that. But just get your assignment turned in on time, and you know, end week 1 with that satisfaction of having an A, so you don't have to stress or worry that you have to then bring your grade back up or anything like that. So what we're going to be talking about is for our assessment, using selections to colorize something. So that's our kindergarten coloring book page assignment, which is super fun. We're going to discuss the key differences between vector and raster artwork. So we're going to be making some vector artwork in the class today. And we are also going to be using some shape layers to make our first assignment. And again, if you're new to Photoshop, new to a computer, new to a Mac, whatever it is, don't worry. This class is gonna be really easy for you, okay? I think the only thing that like holds people back sometimes is that they think it's gonna be hard, and it's not, okay? It's not gonna be hard at all. Okay, so that's my strategy for success. Attend or watch the weekly class sessions, take notes actually on paper with a pen or a pencil, actually physically handwrite the notes so you can follow along step by step, just like a recipe. You can go step 1, click here, step 2, click here. It makes things so much easier that way. And then turn in your weekly work, of course, before the deadline, which is Saturday at midnight. So that is all the deets on the Photoshop installation that I went over as well. And that's Sean's email address again, that you guys are going to follow up every 24 hours until you get a response. And now, yay, we get to do our assignment. So let me share my whole screen. Now what this is a super, super, super fun, easy assignment. That's our discussion. We'll talk about our discussion a little bit later. And what we're doing, definitely read through all the content on your week 1 assignment. What we're going to be doing is making a document that is 1024 pixels wide by 768 pixels tall. And you're making your resolution 72 pixels per inch. Don't worry, I'm going to demonstrate all of this. And we are going to use 3 different shape tools: ellipse, rectangle, polygon, custom shape, to make a desktop wallpaper. And you're going to save it as a PSD, and you're going to save it as a JPEG, and you're going to be submitting both the JPEG and the PSD to your assignments. Now, for this and for all assignments, we provide examples of what the finished product can look like. And so if you click on these samples, you'll see what other students have done in the past. So have fun with this, you know, explore, you know, experiment. And then we also have a rubric for how you're going to be graded. And so if you follow along and if you do everything exactly as the rubric states, you will get an A. So did you make it the correct size? Did you use the 4 shapes? If you did those things, did you turn in both a PSD and a JPEG? If you did all those things, you're definitely going to get an A. So now let's venture into Photoshop. So here's the thing, guys. Does anyone have Photoshop already installed on their computer? There's actually a few of you already. When you open up Photoshop for the first time, it looks different than the way mine looks now. when you open up Photoshop, there is, for the new beginner Photoshop people, there's going to be like a welcome screen that pops up. And then it has a big button that says create a new document. And then it has like a big section over here that has the sizes that you can make your document as. I don't have that here because I've opened up Photoshop a gamillion times. And so the way I make a new document is by going up here at the top of the screen in Photoshop to File, New, and this is where I set my sizes. Now, does anyone want to share their screen and show me what they see on their Photoshop when they open it? I'll give you guys a gold star. Anyone want to share their screen? Or even if you want to take a screenshot of your screen by hitting Shift-Command-4 and then just posting it in the chat. Oh, hey, Tiana, cool. What I'll do, Tiana, is I'm going to make you a co-host. And Tiana, go ahead and click the share screen button that's right in the center of your screen. Okay, I'll make Sean a co-host too. So whoever does it first, just hit the share screen button and then open up Photoshop. And right now I'm just seeing your desktop browser. So you might have just shared. Yeah, you might have not shared Photoshop. You might have just shared your desktop browser with Zoom on it, because I'm not seeing it. So let's try again. This time, select when you're sharing your screen. Oh, there we go. That's it. Okay, cool. So that's your workspace. But actually, what I want to see is that what comes up when you first open up Photoshop for the first time. So hit the little X on that on your browser there, on the canvas rather, and then open up Photoshop again. Yeah, just click OK. Uh-oh, lost you. Looks like we have a little. Okay, does someone else want to share their screen? So all you have to do is hit, yeah, perfect. Yay, that's what we were talking about. So when you open up Photoshop for the first time, it looks like that. And what you're going to do is click on that button that says Create New. Perfect. Now we can do it. And then see where it says the width and the height, and it's in pixels. So make sure that your width and the height is in pixels, not inches. And then see where it says resolution, you're going to put 72. So you put 1024 for the pixels, 768 for the pixels, 72 resolution, and then you can click create, and that's how you make your first project. Thank you so much for sharing, Sean. I really appreciate it. That helps. Okay, and then for those of us who have Photoshop open already several times, we're going to go to File, New, and then we're going to work in, of course, pixels, not inches. I would say an issue that happens sometimes with students is they will make their document 1024 inches by 768 inches, and then they end up making something so huge that their computer will crash and they'll get the spinny rainbow ball of death and nothing will happen. And it will be disappointing. And usually my question is, can I see your document size? Oh yes. Okay, so you made a document that is over 1,000 pixels large. not pixels, inches large. So of course it froze and gave you problems. So in conclusion, for the in your notes, as you guys are writing notes, step 1, make a new document, 768, 1024, 72 resolution, that's pixels per inch, and then you have your document. Any questions so far about getting to this step where you have the document up? Now we're ready to start putting shapes and colors on here. Okay, cool. No questions. Awesome. Yeah, it's super easy. So now what we're going to do is we're going to work in the layers panel. And that's the main cool thing about Photoshop. Everything we do is in the layers panel, which is this guy right here. And I have this thing called paths here, but we're not going to use that at all in this class. Everything that we do in this DES104 class is going to be in layers, and it's going to be over here in tools. And sometimes, though, you accidentally like hide or close your layers panel or your tools panel like this. You're like, oh no, I just accidentally got rid of my layers and my tools. What do I do? So if that happens, you go up to Window up at the top of the screen, and you can just click Workspace, and you can click Reset Essentials, and that sometimes solves the problem. Or you can go to Window, and then you just put the little check mark on Layers, and then you just put the little check mark on Tools, and that solves the problem too. So don't freak out if you accidentally hide your tools and layers, because we can fix that. So why do we have layers? I'm going to get rid of this libraries window here because I don't need it. So why do we have layers? Because every change we make in this document, we put on a new layer. So I'm going to make a new layer by either clicking on the square that has this little triangle down in the corner, or I am going to click on the shortcut key to make a new layer, which is, write this down guys, this is really important, Shift Command N, Shift Command N if you're on a Mac, and that makes a new layer, Shift Command N. Or if you're on a PC, Shift Control N. So write that down in your notes, guys. The two ways to make a new layer are either click on the new layer icon, which is located next to the trash bin at the bottom of your layers panel, or click Shift Command N if you're on a PC, on a Mac, Shift Control N if you're on a PC. Now, on this new layer, I am going to fill it in with color to change the color of my background. So to do that, I'm going to use the Paint Bucket tool, which I love. Paint Bucket tool is so easy. The problem is, for some of you, the Paint Bucket tool might be hard to find. So for some of you, the Paint Bucket tool might be hidden underneath the Gradient tool. So you'll go over here on your tool panel, and you'll be like, oh no, no Paint Bucket tool. Oh no, what do I do? But then you click and hold on the Gradient tool, which looks like this rectangle that's kind of dark on one side and then gradually gets lighter on the other side. And then if you click and hold on it, you see the Gradient tool and the Paint Bucket tool are roommates together. And you can then say, hello, Paint Bucket tool. And then you can fill in your canvas with whatever color you put on your paint bucket. For other people, it's going to be a little bit harder. For some of you, your Paint Bucket tool is not automatically in your tool panel, and you have to put it there by going to something that I don't have in my toolbar, but you do. So at the bottom of your toolbar, you might see 3 dots. 1, 2, 3, about here. And if you click on those 3 dots, click and hold, then you will see the paint bucket tool as one of the options there. Okay, so 2 places that your paint bucket tool may be hiding if you do not see it. And so some people are asking, is there a way to make these 2 screens side by side, like my presentation here today and your Photoshop? And I would just advise against doing that, because I think you guys learn a lot better if you take notes and then do your project after the class is over. But you can also minimize the screen if you want, if that's helpful for you. Now, how do I change the color that I put on my paint bucket? What you do is whatever is your foreground color, that is what you will make with your paint bucket. So you just click on, you have these 2 color swatches down here at the bottom of your tool panel. Right now my foreground color is red. If I click on it and I go to another color and I move this little dot around, now I'm going to select a dark blue. Now I have a dark blue on my color picker, and now I can click on my layer 1, and now I have a dark blue background. Okay, so whatever you have as your foreground color is what is going to be spilled by your paint bucket. And then to fill in that background, all you have to do is click with your paint bucket, okay? Next, we're gonna make some shapes. So again, every time we make a change to our document, we make it on a new layer. So I'm gonna click on this new layer icon, which is located right next to the trash bin at the bottom of my layer panel. I can also hit Shift Command N if I'm on a Mac and Shift Control N if I'm on a PC. New layer. Now, if I made a shape, whatever color I have as my foreground color is what's going to be the color of the shape. So I have dark blue as my foreground color. I have a dark blue background. And if I put a dark blue shape on a dark blue background, will you be able to see it? No, it'll be invisible. It'll be pointless. So I'm going to select my foreground color first. So I'm going to click on my foreground color. I'll find something that's completely different from blue. I'll pick a really, really light orange color. And then I just need to select a shape. So I'm going to venture over here to my tool panel. And really important concept. Tools in Photoshop are roommates together. So if you want to find, in this case, we're looking for the elliptical shape tool. I'm going to click on this little tool that looks like a little amoeba here. And I click and hold, and I see all of the roommates that live on that same button. Okay? So rectangle tool, rounded rectangle tool, ellipse tool, polygon tool, line tool, custom shape tool. They are all roommates together. And so sometimes you might see ellipse tool on this button. And you might be like, oh no, I need to go to my custom shape tool. Well, you just click on the ellipse tool, and then custom shape tool is down there. Or, oh no, I see the rectangle here, but I need to get to my ellipse tool. Just click on that rectangle and then get to your ellipse tool. Do not confuse the shape tools, which are these bad boys that I've been clicking on, with the marquee tools. So the marquee tools are up here. We're going to talk about them in a little bit. But what we use to actually make colorful shapes is the custom shape tools, which are these guys down here. Yep, perfect, Tiana. So it's you just click and hold, and then you see all of the different shapes here. So once you have selected the shape that you want to use for your Photoshop project, you go up to the top of the screen, and you have 3 options, which are shape, path, and pixels. Shape, path, and pixels. And Pixels is an option that I strongly do not recommend. So if you were writing on your notes right now, I'd write pixels and then I'd make an X through it. Nope, don't use pixels. Why? Because pixels creates a raster object, which means it's creating an object that's made out of little squares of color, which might look fine if you don't plan on ever making any changes to it. But if you plan on making a shape that you want to resize at some point, it will bum you out. Watch. So I'm going to hold down the shift button, click and drag at a diagonal angle. And so I made a little circle. I'm pretty happy with that circle. And I go through and I continue making my design around based off the circle. And then my editor or my art director or my boss comes to me and says, you know what? I want that circle to be bigger. So you're like, cool. I'm going to go ahead and make this circle bigger by hitting Command T. That's a shortcut key that you want to write down. Command T allows you to resize things. Control T if you're on a PC. And then I'm going to hold down the shift button, click and drag on the corner to resize. And so your boss wants that circle to be really big and in the corner. The problem is, in making this object out of pixels, as we increase the size of the object, it becomes blurry and pixelated, and we see those little squares of color. And it does not look good. Even when we place it, it looks blurry and bad. And so this is why we want to, as much as possible, avoid using custom shapes that are in raster mode, which is that pixels option, and use the shape mode instead. Now, of course, there's going to be situations as a graphic designer where you have to use the raster mode. When you're working with photos, photos do not come in vector mode. Photos are only raster. Digital paintings are anything that's made on like a traditional media is only going to be in raster mode. So you want to make sure that you have the highest quality version of that image as possible. But know that there's no way you can convert it to vector. It's going to be raster, and that's the way it is. So I'm going to redraw the circle now, but instead of being on pixel mode up here, I'm going to be on shape mode up at the top of the screen, shape mode. So Tiana, the reason I hold down shift as I'm clicking and dragging to draw my object is so that I maintain a perfect circle, or I maintain the perfect height to width proportions. If I don't hold down the shift button, I will make an oval, or if I'm drawing with the custom shape tool, I'll make a squished looking shape. So yeah, we're gonna talk a lot about the importance of holding down the shift button, especially when resizing photos. So now I'm gonna hold down the shift button, click and drag, draw a little circle. Now it looks different. Don't let this alarm you. This circle that I've just drawn has these little silvery squares on it and a little silvery outline around it. And over in the layers panel, it says ellipse 1 instead of like layer 2. And this little properties window popped up. So first, if you're worried that these little rectangles or the silvery line is going to still be here, you know, on your design permanently, put those worries out of your head. These are just guides to let you know, hey, you're making a vector object, and these are some things that you can alter if you so desired. But yeah, when you save it as a JPEG, when you print it out, it's not gonna, those little things are not gonna be there. So let's see what happens now when we take our vector object and resize. So I'm gonna hit Command T. Command T. I'm gonna hold down the shift button, click and drag. Check it out. Instead of having a blurry pixelated edge, it's nice and smooth and crisp and clean, right? And now I can hit enter or return. Yeah, a lot like Paint Shop Pro. So the other really cool thing about these vector tools in Photoshop, as opposed to the pixel tool, is that you can then continue to make changes to this. So up at the top of the screen, see where it says stroke here? I can choose a color, choose like a purple outline. And for the stroke, and I can make an outline around my object. Right now I have a dashed outline as the outline I selected, but you know, that's what like a regular smooth outline looks like. I can also do a dotted outline like that. I also have options for how the outline could look. For instance, I can align it so that it's halfway on the circle, halfway off the circle, so it's kind of like that. I can also align it so it's outside of the circle, like that. I can click on more options, and I can make the gap closer together. So it's like that. I can, you know, make some gaps closer together, others not close together. I can change the length of the dash. Right, so I can make something like that. So you can, you know, a lot of options here. Let's do half on, half off, and I'm gonna do a little gap like that. Maybe make it a little bit bigger. There we go. Enter or return. So that's just one of the 3 required shapes that you have to use for this project. And some things that you can do with it. Oh, Sean, it's not working for you. Do you want to share your screen, Sean? And I'd love to help you with whatever it's not working for you with. Yeah, just hit the share screen button. Okay, cool. And what you want to do is, so you want to make the stroke, go ahead and click on, see up where it says orange stroke, and see how it has the 1 pixel next to it. Increase that to like 20 pixels. So we just had to make it bigger, and now you can see it. And then you can continue to, you know, make changes to that. And then just hit enter when you're done. Does that fix your problem? Cool. Okay, so the next tool that we're going to play with is going to be a little bit, there's a few more steps involved, but it's really cool. And as soon as I do it, everyone's always like, wait, can you do that again? So pay attention, guys, and jot down notes. So the next tool we're going to use is something called the polygon tool. And the polygon tool allows us to make something really cool, allows us to make stars. So first I'm going to change my color. So to change my fill color, I'll go up to the top of the screen. And let's do something slightly lighter purple. And now I'm going to go to this gear icon here up at the top of our screen. And I'm going to select star. And I'll indent my sides by 99. And then I'm going to put 66 sides on my star and watch. So you can make this like starburst thing, which is really cool. And right now it looks all silvery because the path is on it. So I'm just going to hit enter or return. and that like places it in my document. And so that's the cool part of doing a star. I just like to do something really extreme at first, but there's lots of different things that we can do with this. So one, this is why we put all of our changes on separate layers in Photoshop, so that we can reorder things. So I'm going to click on Polygon 1 and drag it underneath Ellipse 1. And see, now I have that starburst is behind the circle. Okay, Sean, I'm going to do it again. So I'm going to make a different star now. I'm going to make a new layer. Again, every time I make a new shape or a new color, I'm going to put it on a new layer. And again, we're going to our polygon tool. And then we're going to go up to the top of the screen, so this little gear icon here. And we're going to indent our sides by like 60. This time I'm just making up random numbers now. And I'll put 7 sides on my star. And I'm going to hold down the shift button. And so this is a different kind of star, right? And I'm just holding down the shift button to put all the stars on the same layer. But if you don't hold down the shift button, you can put stars on different layers. So what happens if we change these settings on our little gear icon here for our polygon tool? This time I'm going to put smooth corners, and I will indent my sides by 70, and this time I'll put 5 sides on my star. And let's see how this looks. So this is kind of like a little rounder, happier looking star, right? Now I am going to indent my sides by, I'll put 8 sides on my star, and I will put smooth indents and uncheck smooth corners. And that's what this looks like now. Completely different type of star. So feel free to play around with these settings and see what types of different polygon shapes you can make. And let's see what happens if we do smooth corners and smooth indents. And this time I'll put 9 sides on my star. A little bit different. I think the 9 sides is too many. I'll put 5. And maybe I'll indent my sides by 40 instead. Maybe that'll be. So this is a little bit more cartoony, a little more Hello Kitty looking star. Okay, lots of fun with stars, okay? So the next tool that we're going to use, Shift-Command-N, is on the same button as the ellipse tool and the polygon tool that we played with. And that is the custom shape tool. And the custom shape tool gives us access to the custom shape library. And the custom shape library is available up at the top of the screen. And right now we have a heart selected, but we have a whole bunch of different shapes here that we can play with in our design. Okay, and you might see that I have a lot of shapes. That's because I like to make a lot of my own custom shapes, and I like to download custom shapes, which you'll learn more about in DES323 and DES460. But for now, feel free to just use the shapes that are in your Photoshop. And if you click on the little gear icon next to the custom shape library, and then you click on the word all, and then you click on the word append, it will open up all of the custom shapes that are in Photoshop. so you can see them all at once, which will make things a lot easier. Okay, so let's say I am now ready to use a custom shape. Let's go. And so all I do is hold down the shift button to maintain the height to width proportions. Oops, see what happens when you let go of the shift button too soon? And now after I've drawn it, I need to move it back into place. So I'm going to hit the letter V. That's something important that you want to put on your notes. It's a shortcut key. The letter V, V as in Victor, is the move tool. So click V, and then you can move things into place like that. Alrighty. Now, when you're done with this, so we've used the ellipse tool, we've used the polygon tool, and we've used the custom shapes tool. That's 3 of the required shapes for this project. Then what you can do is you can go up to File, Save As, and you're going to save both the PSD and the JPEG for a submission for this assignment. So I'm going to go File, Save As. Now, I would recommend that you all make a folder on your desktop for all of your schoolwork. So I'm browsing to desktop right now, and I'm clicking on New Folder at the bottom of my Save menu. And I'm going to call this new folder DES104_Week1_ your name. Oh, actually, no, we're going to call this just assignments, I think. And then we're going to put the separate assignments using week 1, week 2, etc. So I've made a new folder, and now I'm going to save this as DES104_Week1_ your name .psd, and so that's the first file that you're going to be submitting to the gradebook. Then you're going to submit a second file, and that second file is the JPEG. JPEG is a universal file format that, like, JPEGs are what you use to upload to Twitter and Facebook. JPEGs are what you email to people. JPEGs are what anyone who doesn't have Photoshop can look at if they're looking at pictures. So JPEG is what basically JPEG is where everyone, what everyone looks at. PSD is only available for people who have Photoshop, but PSD is what you are going to be always backing up and saving your work as. So now let's save it as a JPEG. So I'm going to go to File, Export, Save for Web, File, Export, Save for Web. We're going to select from this drop-down menu here, we're going to select JPEG. JPEG medium is fine, JPEG high is fine too. And then you're going to hit save. And now we're going to go to our folder. Oops, I accidentally renamed this. If you accidentally click on the wrong file, you'll accidentally rename your project. So I'm going to rename this DES104. There we go. So now you're going to have 2 files. You're going to have a JPEG and a PSD, and you turn in both that JPEG and that PSD. So someone asked about where the custom shape tool was again. So the custom shape tool is found on the same button as the rectangle, the rounded rectangle, the ellipse, all of that. You just click on the custom shape tool, which looks like a little amoeba here. And then you go up to the custom shape library, which is at the top of the screen. And you have all of these different shapes that you can choose from. And then you pick one that you like. And then you can click and drag. And then you've made a custom shape. And I made my custom shape in purple on a purple background, so of course I can't see it. But now, did I make it on the same layer? I did. Let's try that again. New layer. There we go. And if you put this on a separate layer, you can actually see it. Make sure that it's on a different color as well. So the custom shape tool is found at the bottom of all of the shapes there. And the custom shape library is up at the top of the screen. So the process for exporting a JPEG again is by going to File, Export, Save for Web, File, Export, Save for Web, JPEG High, and then hit Save. Hi, Christine. Dina, I don't know what time zone you are in, but class started an hour ago. All righty. So now you guys have the tools to do your first assignment. And the second assignment is going to be really fun. It's going to be coloring. And no, Christine, there's not another one after this. So, you know what? I'm going to show you guys. I think you guys will like this. I'll show you some inspiring work that has been done by other Photoshop students. And just to give you an idea of some of the things that can be done with these awesome shape tools. And then we'll venture into your coloring assignment, which is your assessment for this week. Yay! So that is some of the things that you can do with Photoshop now that you guys have the skills. So there's other things that we can do to this as well, playing with blending modes and opacity and everything, but I'm going to jump into your assessment. And your assessment is found in the classroom over here. Come on. There we go. So what we're going to do with our assessment is we're not making a new document. We are taking a file that has already been made and we're simply coloring it in. Like I said, it's just like kindergarten, right? You get to play with coloring and you get college credit for it. So this should be really easy and fun. But there is a specific process for coloring and you have to get the order right. And if you don't get the order right, then you'll be coloring over your lines and you'll make it look sloppy and you'll have trouble. So be sure to follow along and take notes. So I'm going to click on our download our JPEG file. And that's our JPEG file. And it's got, by clicking on it, it got sent to our downloads folder. It's open in preview. So now the way that we then open that file in Photoshop is by going to File, Open. Okay? Everyone got that? Write that down in your notes, guys. File, Open. Now we're going to go to Downloads. And we're going to click on Assessment Image 1, which is the JPEG file that we just downloaded. Okay, so now the JPEG file that we downloaded is opened in our Photoshop. And the way that we opened it is, again, by going to File, Open, and then browsing to the Downloads folder, clicking on the file, and then clicking Open. Okay, does everyone got that? No. Okay, Sean, do you want me to do it again? Okay. So, Sean, I am here in our week 1 assessment project in our classroom. And I'm going to click on this link that says Assessment Image 1. And by clicking on that link that says Assessment Image 1, it automatically goes to our Downloads folder. Right now it's opening in preview. I can just exit out of that because it's not useful for me right now. Assessment Image 1, click and download. Now I go to Photoshop and I go to File. Do you see this so far, Sean? I go to File and then I go to Open. And then I go to my Downloads folder and I browse for Assessment Image 1. And then I click Open. And that opens the file. Okay, and yeah, for anyone else asking if there's a recording, just like your classes last mod 2, there was a recording. So there's always going to be recordings of your classes. Okay, this is really important now because this is the steps involved in coloring it. And if you don't get these steps right, it will not work for you. So I'm going to go to this layer here in the layer panel. It says background, and you'll notice it has a lock next to it. So step 1 here is to double click on the background layer in the layer panel. Step 1, double click on the background layer in the layer panel. This little window will pop up, just hit OK. Okay, now the background layer is unlocked. Now this next step is really, really important. I need you all to pay very close attention. This next step is vital. With layer 0 selected, and you know it's selected because it's blue, you're going to go up here on the layers panel to the drop-down box that says normal. And you're going to change normal to multiply. Does everyone see this? Write this down in your notes, guys. Change normal to multiply. You have to first make sure layer 0 is selected. Again, you know layer 0 is selected because it's blue. And then you're going to change normal from this drop-down menu to multiply. What that does is it makes the white of the page transparent so you can then color underneath it. Next, I'm going to make a new layer either by hitting Shift-Command-N or by clicking the Create a New Layer icon at the bottom of the layer panel. Everyone got that? So notice now how layer 0, when I click on it, it says multiply. And then above layer 0 is layer 1. And when I click on that, it says normal. Okay? This third step is really, really important. So I need, again, everyone pay attention and write this in your notes. We're now going to drag layer 1 underneath layer 0. So now the order goes layer 0. Again, layer 0 is on multiply. And then underneath layer 0 is layer 1 because I clicked on layer 1 and I dragged it underneath layer 0. Now this is also really important. Click on layer 0. And we know layer 0 is clicked because it's blue now. And then click on the lock icon. So now layer 0 is locked, so you don't accidentally color on it. This is really, really important. So now layer 0 is on multiply. The blending mode of layer 0 is on multiply. Layer 0 is now locked, and layer 1 is underneath it. Now watch what happens. I'm going to get my paint bucket tool out, and I'll select a nice pretty color. And I know layer 1 is selected because it's blue, and I'm going to use my paint bucket to click on layer 1. And if you look in my tool panel here, you see it says layer 0, locked. Layer 1 underneath it is orange. Now we're going to start coloring the individual parts of this document. Does anyone have any questions at this point, or does anyone want me to go over any of these steps again? Okay, cool. So what I'm going to do now is make a new layer by clicking on the new layer icon at the bottom of the layers panel. And you can see now the layer order is layer 0, layer 2, and layer 1. And I'm going to use layer 2 for individual sections, for coloring individual parts of this design, okay? So watch these steps. What I'm going to do is click on layer 0. Christina, we want to see that you can select the parts of the picture and color them cleanly. So that's why it does have to be like colored. You know, each part has to be colored cleanly. So now what I'm going to do is go over here to the Magic Wands tool. And the Magic Wand tool is on the same button as the Quick Selection tool. So it goes Quick Selection tool, click and hold, and then it goes Magic Wand tool. And I'll zoom in, Command +sign. And now watch this. If I click on, again, I have to be on layer 0 in order for this to work. So I use the Magic Wand tool to select the black and white parts of the picture. And if I just click once, it just selects one part. If I hold down the Shift button, I can select multiple parts. Oh, see, that's a common issue where I accidentally clicked on the line and selected the line. That is bad. So I'm going to hit Command Z to undo. Command Z. Write that down in your notes, guys. Command Z. Command Z. And I will gladly do this over again. So Tiana, I'm slowing down. I'm doing it one more time. So I'm going to click on layer 0. And I know layer 0 is clicked because it's blue. And then I'm going to go to the Magic Wand tool. The Magic Wand tool is on the same button as the Quick Selection tool. So if you're seeing the Quick Selection tool, which looks like a little paintbrush with a dotted circle behind it, click on that and then the Magic Wand tool will appear. And then if you hold down the Shift button while clicking the Magic Wand tool inside these shapes, so put the point of the Magic Wand tool inside these shapes, don't accidentally click on the line. You will be able to make selections. You got this, Tiana? Okay, so what we're doing is we're making selections so that then we can color inside these parts of the illustration. So selections are these little like dotted lines that appear. Just don't accidentally click on the line. And if you do accidentally click on the line, you can either hit Command Z, Z as in zebra, to undo, or you can hit Command D to deselect. Write that down. Command Z to undo, Command D to deselect. Okay, so I just selected a large portion of this design. Oh, the way I zoomed in is by hitting Command +sign, or you can just use 2 fingers on your trackpad. And now what I'm going to do is I use layer 0 to make my selections. And now I'm going to click on layer 2. And layer 2 is where I will color. Okay. So now I'm going to go to my paint bucket tool. I am going to select a different color. Something dark pink. And then up at the top of your screen, make sure contiguous is not checked. So see where it says contiguous, make sure that's not checked. And then you click, and that colors in all the parts that you selected. Now I no longer need that selection anymore. So I'll hit Command D. And then I'll go back to layer 0. I'll choose a different color. I'll use my magic wand tool again. And I'll click on what I want to select. And then after I'm done clicking on what I want to select, I will go to my paint bucket tool and click on layer 2, and then click on my selection. And there we go. See how easy it is to color. So you guys are going to be coloring this whole document. And this is the order that you want to put your color on. And when you get to the really small areas, it's actually super easy. It's not a problem at all, because all you have to do is hit Command + to zoom in really, really close. See, look how close we can zoom in. And then you get your magic wand tool and you could zoom in really, really close. And then you go to layer 2, select a new color, and click. Yeah, Rich, try to color everything. You know, keep in mind, you guys are designers. So you want to make this project as amazing as possible, just like you would when you are working professionally in design. You want all your projects to be amazing and finished, and think about the potential employer who's going to see this in your portfolio, and you want to show them that you can do some really spectacular work with color and Photoshop. And let's take a look at some issues that sometimes come up in our first Photoshop class. And so I made a little cartoon that kind of goes over some things that come up, and there's a little moral or message to this cartoon. So see if you can identify what I'm trying to convey here with this cartoon I made for you. What's the moral or message?
Hello. I noticed that the file you submitted for your Photoshop homework was a 500 megabit PSD document. Due to the fact that it will take me about 3 hours to download a file that big and I have 120 other students to grade, would you mind submitting a small JPEG file under 500 kilobits in addition to your PSD document?
How do I make a JPEG file?
I have explained how to do this in both the lectures and in the video I made entitled Step-by-Step Instructions on How to Do Your Photoshop Homework. You can also find out how to make a JPEG in the textbook. Have you watched my lectures?
No. I don't have time to watch the lectures. I work a full-time job.
You should definitely try to watch the lectures, because there are a lot of important instructions on how to do your class assignments. At the very least, do try to watch the video I made called Step-by-Step Instructions on How to Do Your Photoshop Homework.
Where is that video?
It's in the announcement section of the classroom in bright red bold letters at the top of the screen.
I don't think I have time to watch that video. Can you just tell me how to save a JPEG?
I'm starting to worry that maybe you didn't do your Photoshop homework correctly if you don't even know how to save a JPEG. You should watch the video instructions and make sure you did everything correctly.
I don't have time to watch these videos. Just tell me how to do the Photoshop homework.
Okay. First open Photoshop. Then, go to File, New, and make a document that is 8 by 10 and 72 dpi in RGB mode.
Whoa. This is too hard. There is too much to remember. How am I going to possibly learn this all?
I think it would be much easier if you just watch the video I made, and take notes on it, and then pause, rewind and rewatch the parts that are confusing to you.
RGB. DPI. This is so confusing. I'm never going to remember this all. Photoshop is too hard.
Thousands of people learn Photoshop every day. It's not hard at all, and actually pretty fun.
There's too much to remember. There's all these tools and layers. I'm so confused. I couldn't learn this online. I'm taking Illustrator at the same time. This is too hard.
I've taught hundreds of students Photoshop online. They all had to learn Illustrator at the same time. Most of them passed both classes and most of those got A's. I know you can as well.
I have a job and a family. I need to spend time with my family.
Most students taking online classes have jobs and families. They have succeeded and you can too.
School is taking too much time away from my family. My family comes first.
Lots of students at this school work jobs and have families.
My kid has the flu. I need to take care of him.
If you were sick, would you expect your kid to ignore his or her school work to take care of you? If you work hard in this class and get good grades, you'll be able to get a good job and send your kid to college one day. Don't you want your kid to see how important school is, and how making excuses only ends up costing more money and time in the long run?
I'm not making excuses. Photoshop is too hard. I'm too old to learn new things. I'm never going to get this.
Most my students are older. Sure, the first week of class is always a little difficult, but everyone usually catches on as long as they do the reading, watch the lectures, videos, and email me if they have questions.
Maybe I should take this class on campus instead of online.
In many ways, learning online is easier, because you can rewatch the lectures as many times as you want. You have immediate access to a tutor several times a week, and you can call or email me anytime if you need help.
This is too hard. I keep making mistakes. Maybe I should switch to another school.
I know it seems difficult. But if you quit now, you won't get to find out how fun Photoshop can be and how. I do hope you will watch the lectures and videos and then visit tutoring or call me if you need help. This is only the first week. Don't quit now.
Okay, so I think you guys got the idea there, that if that student had put half the effort that he puts into making excuses into just watching the videos and doing his assignments, he would probably be passing the class and getting an A. So it's really, 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 really important to please just follow the instructions, and also understand that we have so many resources available to help you all. You can go to the multi-sessions, which are on Tuesdays and Thursdays at the same time to get one-on-one help from me for your assignments. You can also go to the Student Success Center for help with tutors, and the Student Success Center is open 6 days a week. And you can also email me if you get stuck with something. And you can also take advantage of your fellow classmates and ask them for help. We have so many places to get help. So one thing I didn't do yet is I didn't show you guys how to save your line art for your assessment. So we're going to do the same thing. With all of our projects, we're going to save a PSD document, Photoshop document, and then you're going to be turning in the JPEG, okay? So to save the PSD, we're going to go to File, Save As, and we're going to browse to our desktop folder that we made, DES104 Assignments, and I'm going to name this DES104_Week1 Assessment _ your name .psd. And then we're also going to save this as a JPEG because the JPEG is what you're going to be submitting. So to save the JPEG, I'm going to go to File, Export, Save for Web, File, Export, Save for Web, JPEG High. And there we go. That JPEG is what you're going to be turning in. Do keep the PSD file because sometimes I will see something that looks a little bit strange about your project. If I see a halo between the color and the line art, or if I see the line art has been like strangely thickened, I will suspect that you didn't put your coloring and your lines on separate layers. And so I will ask to see the PSD file. And this is what I'm looking for when I look at the PSD file. I'm looking for layer 0, make sure it's locked, make sure it's on the multiply blending mode. Layer 2, this is our color layer. This is where the individual pieces are colored. And layer 1, it's the base layer with whatever like the overall base of your document is going to be. And so you submit both the PSD and the JPEG for the week 1 assignment. You submit only the JPEG for the assessment. And in week 2, you're only going to submit JPEGs. In week 3, you submit the PSD. It tells you. And then in week 4, you submit a JPEG and something called a PDF, which we'll get to. So each week is going to have a different file type requirement. So just be sure to pay very close attention to the rubric. And Tiana, all of the submission requirements are stated in the assignment page. You can look at the rubric. It tells you exactly what's supposed to be submitted. So for the week 1 assignment, you're going to be submitting a JPEG and a PSD. And for the week 1 assessment, you're going to be submitting a JPEG only. Let's venture into our classroom. You guys have a discussion this week where you're talking about vector designs, which are basically the types of designs that are created that can be easily resized, like the vector shape that I made while I was demonstrating the week 1 assignment, and raster images. And you're talking about when you might use each one and why you would use one and not the other, and what the situations are that you would use them. Now, with all of your discussions for this class, submitting an image and embedding an image in your discussion as part of your explanation is worth 3 points. Some other really important things about your discussion: you have to make your main discussion post by Wednesday night. And that main discussion post should be 150 words or more. You should have some sort of quote or paraphrased information from an outside source supporting your opinion and analysis. And you should cite that outside source in APA format. And there's an example here in this link here of APA format. And so that's worth some points. And then before Saturday, you must submit 2 follow-up posts to your fellow classmates with 50 words or more of content in them. And really important, even though, yes, we're using quote or paraphrase information from outside sources, 80% of your discussion board posts should be your own opinion and analysis and thoughts and words. So if you paraphrase information or use quoted information, that should only be 20% of your post. So if your document is 150 words and 80% of your post is your own original opinion, that means 120 words need to be of your own original thoughts, analysis, and opinion. Okay? And then 60 words can be quoted, paraphrased information from outside sources. Oh, I'm sorry, 30 words can be quoted, paraphrased information from outside sources, supporting your opinion. Now, to embed images into your discussion, you can go online and you can find something that illustrates your point. So I'm going to look for a vector design. And I'm going to go to images. And I'm going to find something that is a cool vector design on a website that is easy to get to. I feel like, does Wikimedia have one? Okay, here is an example of a vector design. Find one that's a little bit more interesting. Okay, so let's say I want to use this as my example. What you do is you click on it, and then I'm going to hold down the control button and click on this image and click copy image address. Copy image address. And then I am going to start posting my discussion. So I'll say something like, here is an example of vector and raster design. Now I go to this little embed image icon here that looks like a little mountain with a sun, and I click on it. And I click on the space for the URL and I hit Command V. And then I hit update. And then I hit post reply, or I continue typing. And that is how you embed images into your discussion. Another way that you can embed images into your discussion is just by straight up copying the image. Find something pretty. Yeah, a little zebra. So now what I want to do is I want to put the zebra in my discussion. So I'm going to copy it by holding down the control button and then clicking copy image. And I'll go to my discussion. I'll say, go away. Sorry, I clicked on the wrong button. Here is a vector design. Okay, now what I'm going to do is, so I copied that image. I'm going to hit Command V to paste, and now I've pasted that image into my discussion. And now I can hit Post Reply. Make sense? So that is how you embed images into your discussion. Now you can also put images into your Photoshop projects. We'll be doing this a lot in week 3. Totally not a requirement for week 1, but I know people are interested in doing that. But here's the thing. If you decide to use images from the internet in your designs, you have to search for them a specific way. So you have to, we all love going to Google to look for pictures. When you're on Google Images, you're going to go to Tools, and you're going to go to Usage Rights, and you're going to click Labeled for Reuse Modification. Labeled for Reuse Modification. This then will filter out all of the images that you do not have permission to use. And then when you find an image that you do have permission to use, which are all of these, I'm going to use this little boo here. You'll click on it, and then you're going to click on it a few times to view it as full resolution as possible. See how big this picture is? This is the size that you want to download it as. Really, really nice and big. And then you're going to hold down the control button, click on the image, and then click Save Image As. And then you're going to go to Photoshop, and I'm going to go to my first project here. Make a new layer, Shift Command N. And now I'm going to go to File, Place Embedded. Find my picture, place, hold down the Shift button. And so that is how I put a picture into a Photoshop document. Now in week 3, you guys are going to be learning masking, which is a way that you can cut subjects out of their background. But for now, I'll just show you just so you can play around with it if you feel like it, but it's totally not a requirement. So I'm going to click on the square with a little circle inside of it at the bottom of the layer panel. Again, don't let this freak you out because this is totally not a requirement for this week's assignment. I'm just showing it to you for kicks. You're going to deep dive and learn a whole lot about masking in week 3. But what you do is you just click on this little icon down here at the bottom of the layer panel that's like a square with a circle inside of it. You're going to click on that, and then you're going to click on the brush tool, which is this guy right here. And I'm going to use a real soft brush. I'm going to increase the size of my brush a little bit. And then with black, you have to make sure that black is your foreground color. Basically, it lets you, that layer mask button that we put on here allows us to erase our background. And see now everywhere that we painted with black was kind of erased from the picture. So that's how we make collages and stuff. Again, don't freak out if that like totally confused you and you're like, I don't know what you just did there. Because we are gonna, again, go in depth on that in week 3. But I just thought for some of you who might wanna just add some pictures for kicks, that is how you would do it. Let's go over some things that students sometimes do wrong on their assignments and earn them low grades. So in this little cartoon I made, there are 4 main reasons why this student got a low grade on his assignment. See if you can identify what these reasons are.
Why did I get such a low grade on my Photoshop homework?
Did you see the feedback I wrote for you in the grad book?
There was no feedback.
Yes, there was. If you click on the score you received, a window will open up showing you the feedback I wrote on your assignment. Let me explain the 3 things you did incorrectly on this assignment. 1. The image you used in your design was copyright protected and illegal to use.
No, it wasn't. I found it for free while searching on Google.
Yes, that's the problem. In my lectures and in the classroom I have stated repeatedly that Google is not a stock photography company. The images you find on Google are copyright protected. They belong to the artists and photographers who made them and you don't have permission to use them.
So how am I going to get permission to use that image? Contact the photographer. That's a lot of work.
You can do that. But I would suggest instead of using copyright-protected images found on Google, you visit a free stock exchange website and use free stock photos for your class assignments.
Which websites are stock photo websites?
Again, I've provided this information numerous times in the lectures and in the classroom. But okay, one stock photography website it, Stock Exchange. You can just Google Stock Exchange and then it's the first website that comes up that's not related to the stock market. The URL is isxc.hu.
How do I download images from Stock Exchange?
You have to register for a free account. And then you click on the thumbnail image and the photo will open in a large window. Next, click and drag the large photo to your desktop.
Wait a minute. This cute image of a bunny has a watermark over it. How do I get that watermark off the image?
Not all the stock photos on Stock Exchange are free. You have to pay for some.
But I don't want to pay.
I know. That's why you should only use the free images. Those are the ones that don't have watermarks on them.
Can't I just use the clone stamp tool to get rid of the watermark?
No. Trying to use an image that you didn't pay for is stealing and it would earn you a poor grade.
So what else did I do wrong on my assignment?
Your design has numerous spelling, grammatical, punctuation and capitalization errors.
I thought this was a Photoshop class, not an English class.
It is, but if you expect to get work as a professional designer, you need to make sure that your designs have no mistakes in them whatsoever. If you design for a client and give them a product with a bunch of bows on it, you will never get work from that client ever again.
But I want to work for a big design firm. At big companies, they have people who check for mistakes.
Yes, and if the people who check for mistakes see you making mistakes like this, you will be fired.
What was the last thing I did wrong?
One of the images in your design is very blurry and pixelated. It looks like it was originally a small image that you sized to make bigger and it became pixelated in the process.
Yes, I needed a picture of a house. The only picture I could find was small, so it had to be resized.
Are you telling me that you couldn't find a photo of a house that was larger than 2000 pixels?
That's right. The only pictures of houses that I could find were small.
In the future, if you ever can't find an image that is high resolution and you can't photograph your own image, then you need to change your concept. Pixelated images are unacceptable. You need to make sure that your design looks clean and professional so that you can use it in your professional portfolio.
Can't I redo my assignment?
Normally I don't let students redo their assignment. But if you can swap out those images for free stock photos and fix your pose in the next 60 minutes, I will accept it.
60 minutes? How can I erase and clone stamp out all my typos and photos in 60 minutes?
Are you telling me that your photos and text are all merged together and you didn't save your separate layers?
Merged? No. Of course not. I don't know how to merge. I made my design all on the background layer.
From the very beginning of class, I have stressed the importance of keeping each of your elements on separate layers. You need to use non-destructive editing techniques so that you have the most flexibility in your revisions.
I don't have time to make new layers. I was in a hurry.
Then it looks like you won't have time to resubmit your assignment.
Alrighty, so what did that student do wrong on his assignment? Quite a lot of things, right? He used copyright protected images. He had spelling and grammar mistakes. He used low resolution images that he stretched to make bigger. And he made all of his changes on the background layer, so he wasn't then able to make changes to his project. Right? So don't be like that guy. Don't make those types of mistakes. And, make sure all of your changes are in separate layers. Make sure that you don't have spelling and grammar mistakes. Make sure that you use non-copyright protected images. And make sure that you use images that are free of, that are nice and big, so that you can stretch, you can make them bigger, but you can't, if you take a small picture and you stretch it to make it bigger, it will look bad. It'll look blurry and pixelated. That's what I was trying to say. Okay, so any questions at this point about your assignments, about your discussion, about anything related to the class, about anything at all? Yes, it is very easy. It's very easy and it's very fun. Hey, I thought I'd share with you guys some inspiring, like professional design work, so you can kind of get an idea of what it's like to work in graphic design. And then if you have any questions after this is over with, feel free to stick around. If not, let me, you are free to check out.
First and foremost, graphic design has to communicate something, but good graphic design makes people's lives better. You have to find a way to make sense of how to make something beautiful, and to me, you're speaking for them.
As a graphic designer, concept is the first thing. Idea and life. Graphic design is essentially a language for living. Graphic design is about using words and images to convey a message. Graphic designers have to know a lot about color theory, typography, how to create a grid, but those are all really basic. You have to be somebody that is really interested in understanding human behavior, being able to understand how they think, how they choose, how they buy, how they believe. People probably don't think about how much graphic design impacts them. We use graphic design to cross the street, to decide what we want to eat and how much we want to eat. We use graphic design to pay our bills, to get married. We use graphic design to get divorced. We use graphic design in every single aspect of human life right now. And people tend to like things best when they feel that they are respected by that thing. But I think ultimately, if it moves you, whether it be a good emotion or a bad emotion, chances are that it's effective because it's getting you to think about something and it's getting you to potentially take action.
When I work on package design, I like for there to be an idea behind it. I like for there to be some wit, some language, some feeling that there is a human hand behind what you are interacting with. Like, for instance, matchbooks are one of my favorite things to design. It's this nice, intimate moment between you and a smoker or a candle lighter, because you have the reveal that can be completely surprising. For the spice market, turn them into these little incense boxes. I like to think about the product like I'm the consumer. So when we were working on the Kleenex project, we learned that for some people, choosing which pattern on the box to take home is a huge part of their day. So I think about what will give me a moment's pleasure when interacting with that thing. The Mercer Hotel was a really interesting project that was very clean, very understated, and witty. And not necessarily witty in the design, but also witty in the language. Like, for instance, there's always that sign on the bathrobe that says, if you take it, you're going to have to pay for it. But we didn't want to say it in such a crass way. So we just made a sign that very simply said, disrobe. And then when you turned it over, it said, is available for purchase in the lobby. And so sometimes maybe beautiful isn't exactly what it should be. Maybe it needs to be quirky, maybe it needs to be ugly, or maybe it needs to be invisible. So I think you're always solving what it has to look like visually based on what it needs to be conceptually.
A lot of times when people talk about signage and environmental graphics, they think that it always involves letters, but it really involves landmarks, creating a moment that somebody remembers and immediately understands. Graphic designers aren't trained necessarily to think in dimension, but you do need to identify things within space that the architecture wouldn't necessarily be doing otherwise, through color and type and light. Working on the signage for Bloomberg's offices, they wanted people to use the stairs. We thought if people are intended to use the space, why don't we at least make it interesting to use? If you can make the space interesting, people will want to be there. It really involves creating a moment that somebody remembers and immediately understands. Bridge designs or decorations that we had proposed for the city of Pittsburgh, and our proposal was to essentially make those moments special moments. So it could just be a paint job, or it could be using light in a certain way to highlight that feature as a gateway to the north side. Every building has a timeline of your experience with it. What's the cover of this book? And then how does that play out as one navigates through the space, where your mind actually solves a problem? So there's a process of discovery there.
Should you judge a book by its cover? I would really like to say yes, but I think that there's a lot of really good books out there that don't have good covers. My guiding philosophy in design is forever going to change, I think. You have to understand the responsibility you have in terms of there's someone at the end of the line that actually cares about what you're doing. You have to give it a voice. I never like to pin myself down to one different style, and to me that's what's fun about design as opposed to an illustrator's style. You can wear different hats. The artistic expression, that is the art of it. Getting into the mind of the book, expressing what the book is about, making it beautiful and grabbing people's attention. You always care about what are you reading first, and that's based on contrast of size, contrast of color. Is the title more important than the author? Can you read it from across the store or not? These are the things that I think about on a daily basis. You have to understand where this book fits in the world of books. The Day the World Ends is a poetry book, and here's an example of, well, what do you focus on? You have all these different poems that are about different things, so broke the type up a little bit, and the author just connected with it. If you love the content, you want something to come up in your head when you think about it. So I think a successful book cover is something that you want to hold in your hand. It's unexpected, smart, and beautiful, but at the end of the day, you just want to put it on your bookshelf, face out, because it means something to you.
We use graphic design now in many ways to convey who we are as people, to define affiliations, to signal beliefs.
If you can contribute to making people's lives a little bit better and elevating the general level of design, then why not?
If you know how you want to make them feel, that's the most important thing. You just want to make something memorable.
I say, do what you think is right and interesting and smart, and then worry about what the survey says.
Alrighty, so I will happily answer any questions that you guys have. If not, you guys are free to go. Yeah, designing book covers, that would be so fun. Good call, Tiana. So any questions? Have a great night, Carrie Ann. Jacorian, definitely watch the recording when it's posted. Maxine, don't worry. As long as you watch the recording and get the information that you need, it shouldn't affect your ability to do the assignments. Okay, thanks, Richard. Have a great night. Oh, thank you, Kenja. Have a good night, and feel free to email me if you are worried about anything at all.